On the evening of July 4th, 1980, an 18-year-old named Missy Jones stepped out of a family barbecue in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Blue skirt, blue top. She told her 11-year-old sister she'd be right back. She was found the next afternoon in a grapefruit grove, 11 miles from the house. She had been sexually assaulted. She was 18 years old. Investigators collected DNA from the scene. They preserved it. They entered it into the national database. No match. The case went cold. Here is what the original investigators didn't know, or didn't act on. Missy had been telling people for months that she was afraid of a specific man. She said his name to her mother, to her best friend, to anyone who would listen. That man was at the barbecue that night. He sat with her family. He was never questioned. Not in 1980, not in the 40 years that followed. He lived a normal life. He got old. He thought he had gotten away with it. He hadn't. It just took 45 years, one cold case detective, and a fast food cup he threw in the trash to prove it. Michelle Jones grew up in the Inland Empire, east of Los Angeles. She was one of 8 siblings. She went by Missy. By every account, she was the kind of older sister who looked after the younger ones without being asked. The one who noticed when someone needed help before they had to ask for it. Her sister Melissa described her simply. She would take care of everybody. Missy was 18 in the summer of 1980. She had her own style, a smile people remembered. But that summer, something had been weighing on her. Her older sister Phyllis was in a relationship with a 26-year-old man named Leonard Nash. They shared a home in Rancho Cucamonga. Missy had stayed with them briefly earlier that year. She didn't stay long. She went straight to her mother afterward and told her what was happening. Nash had been coming on to her. He made her uncomfortable. No matter how clearly she made it known she wasn't interested, he wouldn't stop. Her best friend knew it too. One afternoon at a park, Nash's name came up in conversation. The change in Missy was immediate. She didn't look uneasy. She looked afraid. Missy had done what she was supposed to do. She had spoken up. She had said his name. She had told her mother and her closest friend. She had been specific and she had been clear. She had done everything right. The night of July 4th. The whole family came together for the 4th of July barbecue at the home Phyllis and Nash shared. At some point during the evening, Nash left. Where he went, no one could say for certain. Phyllis had planned to go with Missy and Nash to another event later that night. She was tired. She stayed home. Later that evening, Missy left too. Kimberly, 11 years old, watched her older sister walk out the front door. Blue skirt, blue top. Missy said she'd be right back. At approximately 4:40 p.m. the following afternoon, July 5th, a body was found in a grapefruit grove near South Fontana, 11 miles from the house. The forensics were devastating. The cause of death was clear. DNA was collected at the scene, preserved, and entered into the evidence record. This was 1980. No digital records, no cell phones, no security cameras, no national DNA database that could return a result. The DNA slide went into storage. The investigation opened. Investigators looked hard at the last known person to have been with Missy, a man she had been dating. He was arrested, gave a detailed account, passed multiple polygraphs, and was ruled out. And through all of it, every interview, every follow-up, every lead, the man Missy had been afraid of was never once brought in for questioning. Leonard Nash had been at the party. He had left that night at a time nobody could account for. His girlfriend was Missy's own sister. Nobody asked him a single question. What Phyllis saw. The morning after Missy disappeared, before anyone even knew her body had been found, Phyllis was moving through the house. She went to the upstairs bathroom. She pulled back the shower curtain. Nash's suit coat was hanging there. Attached to the coat was a foxtail, a dry, barbed seed pod from the kind of wild grass that grows in rough, dry ground across Southern California, the kind that clings to clothing when you walk through fields. She went to the bedroom closet. His shoes were there, caked in mud and dirt. Phyllis was 19 years old. She didn't know what she was looking at. She told her stepfather what she had seen and assumed he would pass it on to police. He either didn't, or nobody followed up. That coat, those muddy shoes, that foxtail, they were evidence that could have pointed investigators directly at Nash in the first days of the case. They sat there. The investigation stalled. The file went cold. The years turned into decades. Both of Missy's parents grew old. They died without knowing who had killed their daughter. The family moved often, as families do after something like this, carrying the weight of it from one house to the next, still celebrating Missy's birthday every year. She never stopped being their sister, and Phyllis held what she had seen in that bathroom, the coat, the foxtail, the mud, for 40 years. A detail that might have changed everything. For 4 decades, she never told anyone who could act on it. The detective. In the spring of 2020, a detective named Corporal Catherine Clark was assigned to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Cold Case Homicide Task Force. She had a specific philosophy about old cases. Close every open door you find in the file. Walk through it if you can. Close it. Move on. Missy's case had a file full of doors that had never been closed. Clark worked through every man connected to Missy's life, methodically ruling them out, one at a time. The boyfriend from 1980, cleared decades ago. Others eliminated through follow-up. She moved through the list until she reached a name the original investigation had never properly addressed. Leonard Nash. She tracked down Phyllis, now in her early 60s and living in Arizona. In June 2020, Clark drove there and sat down with her. What Phyllis told her that day had never been in any case file. The suit coat in the shower, the foxtail, the muddy shoes, the harassment, what Missy had told her mother, what the best friend had seen on Missy's face at the park. Clark walked out of that conversation knowing she had her suspect. Now she needed his DNA. The autopsy slide from 1980 had already been processed. A DNA profile of the killer existed. It had been run against the national database. No match. Nash had no criminal record. His DNA wasn't in any system. The only way to get it was to take it from him without him knowing why. Clark's team called Nash. They kept it casual. Did he remember a woman named Missy Jones? He said he did. He'd call them back. When he called back, they had a plan. They were heading to a Thai restaurant for lunch. They invited him to join them. Nash said he needed a ride. They agreed to pick him up. Before they left, the strategy was simple. Pick him up, sit him down, buy him a meal. Collect everything he touched, fork, napkin, straw, plate. Send it to the lab. They placed a sealed water bottle in the center console of the car as a backup. They pulled up to the gas station where Nash was waiting. He walked out already holding a Wingstop styrofoam cup. He got into the front seat. He reached over, picked up the sealed water bottle from the center console, and poured it into his Wingstop cup. They drove to the restaurant. Over lunch, Nash talked. He told them he had danced with Missy at the party. He said he had never had sex with her. He was relaxed. He had no reason not to be. When the meal ended, Clark asked him to step outside to look at photographs. The second he was out of his seat, a detective moved to the table. Fork, napkin, straw, bagged. Another detective walked to the trash and pulled the Wingstop cup. All of it went to the lab. The lab first confirmed that the DNA from the cup, the fork, and the straw all came from the same person. They did. Then they compared that profile against the slide preserved from Missy's autopsy since 1980. It matched. 26 septillion times more likely to be Nash than any other person on Earth. When Clark got the result, she said she was elated. And then she started crying. Because it had been so many years. The arrest warrant was ready by September 2020. Police in Las Vegas took Leonard Nash into custody. He was 66 years old. He stood trial. The first ended without a conviction. Prosecutors brought the case back on November 13, 2025. 45 years after Missy Jones walked out that door in her blue skirt and her blue top, a jury found Leonard Nash guilty of second-degree murder. He was 71 years old. He was sentenced to 15 years to life. He began serving on February 3, 2026. He has never admitted what he did, never explained why. At a crime victims event in April 2026, Kimberly Jones, the little sister who watched Missy walk out the door, stood up and spoke. She said, "I watched her walk out of that door in her blue skirt and her blue top, and she never came home." And about Nash, he lived his life. He lived 54 years, and Missy didn't live. She only lived 18 years. Missy Jones told the people around her that something was wrong. She said his name. She was specific. She was clear. For 45 years, the man she warned them about walked free. But he didn't get away with it. It just took the world 45 years to catch up to what Missy already knew.